Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. In the last episode, we covered the Ice-Water type Walrein from the Hoenn region, and I asked you guys, which Pokémon, which legendary from Kalos, out of Xerneas or Yveltal, did you want to see this week? And you guys chose Yveltal, because everyone knows how to use Xerneas with Geomancy, don't we? So, Yveltal, we're going to be checking out him this week, or it, I should really say. And next week's Pokemon, we're going to have an electric type. We have not had an electric type since episode 50, so it's been a while, and before then I don't think we'd had too many either. So, we're either going to have Luxray or Electros. So let me know which one you want to see down below in the comment section. Out of those two, just simply comment Luxray or Electros, and the one that gets most votes will be covered in the next episode of the Pokemon DataDex. But for now, let's start having a look at Yveltal. So Yveltal is number 717 in the National Pokédex and is a dark flying type. It is the Destruction Pokemon, being the opposite of Xerneas, which I believe is the Life Pokemon. Yveltal's dimensions are 19 foot or 5.8 meters, and this is most likely the wingspan of Yveltal since it is a flying or a bird-like Pokemon. It weighs 447.5 pounds or 203 kilograms, so it's pretty heavy as well, so those wings are pretty powerful to keep it in the air. Being legendary, it's in the undiscovered egg group, being unable to breed, and of course, as I said earlier, it is genderless, so it's an it rather than a he or she. Evolution chain wise, Yveltal does not evolve from or into anything again, being a legendary, which is a general rule for legendaries. Looking at Yveltal's base stats, we can see its highest base stats are attack and special attack at 131 each, then health points at 126, and then going down to defense, special defense and speed, which are all about 95 to 100. So it has pretty good offensive stats. Its health points are actually pretty high as well, giving it some decent bulk. Its defenses, I mean, they're not low by any means. They're higher than most other Pokemon, being a legendary, but they're not amazing. Its speed as well, being base 99. It's not bad. I'm not going to complain about it, you know, but it could be better. It's not going to outspeed everything, but it is going to outspeed a lot of legendaries as well, because here obviously Yveltal is an Uber. We're looking at using Yveltal in the Uber tier rather than in any of the lower tiers against normal Pokemon, I guess. So its stats are pretty good for its place in the Uber tier. Ability wise for Yveltal, it has one ability, which is Dark Aura, which powers up each Pokemon's dark type moves. So basically every dark type move used gets powered up by, I think, 33%. So it's basically a free life orb for any Pokemon using a dark type move. And that's just not just Yveltal, that's any other Pokemon on your side, so if you're in a double or triple battle, or it's any other Pokemon on the enemy team as well. So you have to think about this when using Yveltal, especially in a double or a triple battle, because obviously double you could, you know, team up with one of your teammates, one of your Pokemon rather, and use dark type moves alongside Yveltal against the enemies, but you also have to think about them using dark type moves back. I mean, against Yveltal, as we'll look at in a second, it's not too much of a bother because you resist dark type moves, but against your teammate or against your, you know, your second Pokemon, it could be a bit more frightening to think about. So as I mentioned, let's look at the type effectiveness. As I said, it does resist dark, and it also resists grass and ghost, so that's 3 resistances first up. It also has 4 weaknesses, which are electric, rock, ice and fairy, and it has 2 immunities, ground and psychic, one for each of its types. It takes neutral from all the other moves, so is it a good typing? I'd say it's a good typing. 2 immunities, so you can switch on earthquakes and any psychic type move, or any other ground type move as well. 3 resistances, so, you know, you're going to take reduced damage from 5 types and increased damage from 4. However, these 4 types here you are weak to. Electric is fairly common. Rock, Stone Edge is pretty common. Ice, yeah, it's Ice Beam, you know, whatever. And then Fairy as well. Fairy being New Generation 6 is fairly common at the moment, so not great weaknesses rather, but you have the resistances and the immunities to back you up. So given your bulk, unless, you know, you're hit with some pretty hard-hitting electric, rock, ice or fairy type moves, your typing is pretty good. There's not much to complain about, at least. It could be better, but it's not bad. So, highlighted moves for Yveltal. We have 10 here, half level up, a couple TMs, and then 1 heart scale. So, level 26, it learns Oblivion Wing. Oblivion Wing is a special move, and it restores health points. You get stab on it, so you do damage, and you restore your health points from it. So it's an amazing move actually for Yveltal. Get stab, does decent damage, and it restores health points. So really it's nothing to complain about. Then at level 44 it learns Dark Pulse. The first of its dark type moves we're going to look at, being special again. Dark Pulse is pretty powerful as well. That's just a basic move for Yveltal. Then at level 51 it can learn Foul Play, which is a physical move. However, the damage is calculated using the opponent's attack stat. So really you don't have to worry about your stats when using Foul Play. Just worry about what the opponent has in terms of attack. If they're a Lucario, then you're going to do decent damage, at least ignoring the type effectivenesses. However, if it's something like an Alakazam, probably not going to do as well. So just got to think about it when using it, basically. And the way we'll use it, we'll look at more in the competitive sets in a minute. Then, level 72, we have Focus Blast, a very powerful fighting type move. Again, it's special, it's going to do decent damage to whatever it hits, basically. So, however, it doesn't have 100% accuracy, which is one of the only downsides to it. Next up we have another dark type move which is learned at level 80, and this is a Sucker Punch, having priority if the opponent is also attacking, being physical again, and obviously getting the boost from Dark Aura because it's a dark type move. Sucker Punch is, again, sort of, it actually uses your own physical attack stat this time, so that's something to bear in mind, and the opponent has to be preparing an attack as well, so in terms of when you use it, you have to sort of think about it a bit more carefully there. Then, moving on to some TMs, we have the first TM here, which is TM06 Toxic. Poison type move, it's going to badly poison the opponent, and we'll look at how it's going to be used, how it fits in with Yveltal in a minute in sets. Then we have TM12 Taunt. It's going to taunt the opponent into using attacking moves only, rather than being able to use Stealth Rocks or Swords Dance or whatever, and again we'll look at how this fits in a minute. Then we have TM19 Roost. Flying type move, it's going to restore half your health points and take your flying type away for one turn. How is that going to affect your typing? Just think about it for a second. Well, you're not going to resist grass for that turn, but you're also not going to be weak to electric, rock or ice. So it's pretty good. However, you're also going to be weak to bug for that turn as well, and weak to fighting. So it's a bit of a, it's not too much of a worry because generally the opponent doesn't really think about that, but it is certainly something to think about. You're going to lose 3 resistances, lose 3 weaknesses rather, and gain 2 weaknesses, but the ones you're losing are more common than the ones you're gaining. Bug and fighting, not as common as electric, rock and ice, so it's certainly a good thing using Roost, but obviously you're not attacking when you're doing it, but it does restore your health points as well, so that's another source of health and restoration along with Oblivion Wing. Last TM, we have TM89 U-Turn, physical, it's going to attack the opponent and then bring Yveltal back to the party, so it's certainly good if you want to get out of there and also do some damage at the same time. With a base 99 speed, you are going to outspeed a good few things, especially if you put a good few EVs into the speed stat, so you can use U-Turn at the start of the turn and get out and manage to switch before the opponent can even get an attack off on you, so it's certainly a good move. Finally, the last move, it can be done by Heart Scale whenever you have your Yveltal, and that move is Hurricane. So, Hurricane is a really powerful flying type move, basically more powerful than Oblivion Wing, however it doesn't restore your health points, and it doesn't have 100% accuracy, so whether you want to go for full out power, or whether you want to be a bit more conservative and have some health restoration, is up to you there. Just got to think about it in terms of the set you're using, basically. So those are the viable moves, or some of the viable moves at least, for Yveltal. Let's move on to looking at these sets and how these moves can be used in practice. So, the first set, the moveset, is going to be Dark Pulse, Oblivion Wing, Sucker Punch, and then Taunt or U-Turn. Ability is going to be Dark Aura. Nature is a mild or a rash one, and the held item is going to be a Life Orb. EVs we're putting 24 in health points, 48 in attack, maximum special attack, and then the rest 184 in speed. So a bit more of a complicated set than we usually have here. Dark Pulse is your main attacking move, powered up by Dark Aura, and it's going to do decent damage all around. Oblivion Wing is your secondary attack. You also get stab on this, and it restores your health points, so you want to try and use this whenever you can, whenever it's going to do some decent damage to restore your own health points, rather. And then Sucker Punch is when you need that bit of priority, basically. When you want to get, when you know maybe you're close to death, you know the opponent is going to take you out on the next turn, you can use Sucker Punch, get in before them, and then maybe do enough damage just to finish them off, or at least get them down to a position where you can actually go and win the game, who knows. Then Taunt or U-Turn. Taunt can be used either if you just want to prevent people from setting up or restoring health points on you, say it's a Cresselia, you don't really want them using Moonlight, you can taunt them up, basically. Or U-Turn can be used if you just want a bit more flexibility, so you can go in, U-Turn, and then just jump straight out of the battle, basically. Ability there's only one ability available, so I don't really need to talk about it. Nature, Mild or Rash, both of them increase special attack. Mild will decrease defense, Rash will decrease special defense, if I remember correctly. Because basically we have Sucker Punch here. We don't want to be lowering our attack because of this, so we're going to lower one of our defenses instead. You could maybe, use a Modest Nature if you really wanted to, but then again, you're lowering the power of Sucker Punch there and maybe not doing enough damage to actually win in the end. It's up to you. Life Orb is the held item, just for that extra damage basically, and the EV spread allows us to do a lot of damage in special attack. We don't quite need too much speed because we're not the fastest of Pokemon in the first place. It's not like we're relying on speed, but we can then just spread out put some attack to boost it up so the Sucker Punch does a bit more, and the U-turn obviously if we're using that as well, and then just a bit more in health points as well, just to give you a bit more bulk in there. So the general idea with this build would be go in, use Dark Pulse or Sucker Punch or U-turn or whatever you want. You're going to take some damage from Life Orb, so every now and again when you can, use Oblivion Wing, do some decent damage, and just restore it back up again. That's what Oblivion Wing is going to do. It can basically cancel out the Life Orb, which is a pretty good use of a move, I would argue. So yeah, basically just go in, attack, and then use Oblivion Wing if you can to heal up your health points. Use Dark Pulse as the main attacking move, but you can use Oblivion Wing or Sucker Punch if you're going to do some more damage, or Sucker Punch if you need some priority, or Oblivion Wing, say it's super effective, definitely use that rather than Dark Pulse, because the increase of Dark Aura isn't really too much compared to a super effective move, so definitely go for super effective over Dark Aura, but Dark Aura if you have nothing else. So the second set here, this is more of a defensive set. The moveset here is going to be Foul Play, Taunt, and then Sucker Punch or Toxic, and then finally Roost. Ability again is Dark Aura, Nature's time is Impish or Bold, held item can be Leftovers or a Rocky Helmet. So, EVs are maximum health points, maximum defense, and the rest in special defense. So, moveset Foul Play, this is not gonna, we're not gonna bother about our physical attack here, okay? So, doesn't matter what we put in our Nature or our EVs for this case. Foul Play is going to be dependent on the opponent's physical attack, so you got to hope you're facing off against the physical attacker basically. If not, you might want to not think about using this move, I guess. But Foul Play is just there when you've got the chance to do that. Basically, if they've used the Swords Dance, you definitely want to go in there with a Foul Play and make use of that. Taunt is here because we want to go in, we want to taunt the opponent so they can't set up Stealth Rocks or whatever, because even though Yveltal is immune to Spikes, Toxic Spikes, and Sticky Web, because it's a flying type, it's not immune to Stealth Rocks for a start, but obviously the rest of your team aren't necessarily immune to all those things as well. So you want to use it when you can, just to stop them setting up, if you're going to leave Yveltal at least, or just use Taunt so they can't, use a Roost or whatever else they might have up their sleeve to restore their health points rather than just going for a full out attacking. And again, being a defensive set, you can take some attacks here. Then we have Sucker Punch or Toxic. Sucker Punch, it's a priority again, really. Toxic is if you want to sort of be this stooly guy, stalling it out, just waiting for them to die from poison, really. You could also run Oblivion Wing in this slot as well, or maybe instead of Roost as the last one for the health point restoration. Roost is going to be more reliable because it's always going to restore half health points, whereas Oblivion Wing restores depending on how much damage you do. So you could run it there just for a bit of extra, or you could just rely on Roost. Dark Aura is the only ability. Impish or Bold Nature. Impish is going to lower your special attack. Bold, I think, is going to lower your physical attack, if I remember correctly. So it really depends whether or not you're using Sucker Punch or Toxic. If you're using Sucker Punch, go for the Impish Nature. Bold, go for the... if you're using Toxic, go for Bold rather, because Bold... it doesn't matter if you reduce your physical attack, does it? Because, you've got Foul Play and that depends on the opponent's attack. So again, if you use Toxic or if indeed you use Oblivion Wing, you can run Bold rather than Impish. Whether or not you run Leftovers or Rocky Helmet, it's up to you. Leftovers is going to give you that steady health and restoration at the end of every turn, or Rocky Helmet is going to inflict damage on the opponent whenever they attack you with a physical move. So it's up to you really, it depends, maybe you'll get them in a little spot where they have to use physical moves against you and have to kill themselves on the Rocky Helmet or something along those lines, so Rocky Helmet can be useful in that sense. But you just have to try it out, guys, won't you? Just try it out and see what works best for you. Each one's going to work best in a different situation. If you're facing against a team of special attackers, Leftover is going to probably be the better bet. If you've got all physical attackers on the enemy team, go for a Rocky Helmet, but also you can't tell until you get into the team, so depends on the rest of your team on which you want to sort of focus there. EV wise, we have maximum health points and defense because we go on physically defensive here. You could run a specially defensive set as well. We've just simply chosen physical here because it seems like it would work better. Looking at your weaknesses, you are weak to electric, rock, ice, fairy. Electric, ice and fairy are all mainly special attacks. Rock is physical, but apart from that, so really you want to focus on improving your strengths rather than lowering your I guess improving your weaknesses, because you're still going to be fairly weak to those moves even if you go for a special defensive set. You can try out both, but physical defensive probably works a bit better in this sense here. Plus, if you manage to get yourself against a physical attacker, one, they're going to not do any damage to you, and two, you're going to be able to do some damage with foul play because of their attack stat. So it's a win-win situation, guys, if you get a physical attacker, basically. But you know how I would use the set: go in, taunt if they're obviously going to do some sort of setting up or whatnot, or just go for the toxic and then foul play and just go away like that. As I said, you don't really want to be facing off against a special attacker like this, so try and switch it into physical attackers and then see where you go from there, basically. So let's look at the last set for sort of Yveltal here. This one is a Scarf set. So moveset is going to be Dark Pulse, Hurricane, and then Foul Play or Oblivion Wing, and finally U-Turn. Ability is Dark Aura, Nature is Modest, and held out as a Choice Scarf. EVs we're putting maximum special attack, maximum speed, and the rest in either attack or health points. So looking at this here, Dark Pulse, main attacking move with Dark Aura and Stab. Hurricane, a secondary attacking move with Stab on the flying type. Doesn't have 100% accuracy though, so you want to be worried about using this. Then we have Foul Play or Oblivion Wing. Foul Play depends on the opponent's attack stat, as we discussed already. Oblivion Wing is going to be your only health point restoration method if you're running it. If you're not running it, you're not going to have any health point restoration way of getting your health point back, basically. So you want to think about whether you want to use that or not. U-Turn is basically just there. Because it's a Scarf set, whatever we start using, we're going to carry on using until we switch out. So U-Turn is there in the case of, say, you switch in, and as you say, you just switched out from a Pokemon, the enemy also switches out from a Pokemon and goes into another one. Say you come in and you're facing off against a Zapdos. Probably not the best matchup for you, so you might decide to U-turn. Because you're Scarfed, because you have maximum special speed rather, you're going to be fastest hopefully, you can U-turn. You're not going to do too much damage to the Zapdos, and we're not going to bother about damage anyway because we're using a Modest Nature, which is going to reduce our attack stat. So the U-turn damage doesn't really matter, it's just a case of getting us out of the battle, basically. And that's why we got Modest Nature rather than some sort of Rash or whatever nature, because we really don't care about how much damage U-turn does. We're not looking to do damage with it, it's just basically when we want to get out of battle, but pretty much there. Yeah, Choice Scarf is just going to scarf us into whatever we use. Choice Scarf on that 99 base speed, it's gonna increase it pretty well, especially with the maximum speed in the EVs. So Dark Pulse, just spam Dark Pulses, hopefully spam Oblivion Wings if you need some health points back, and then switch out, something along those lines. You just need to watch yourself when you're using a Scarf set, because obviously they could just switch into something that you're not going to do any damage to, and then you need to switch out. So you could possibly, say that's happened already, you switched in, you used Dark Pulse, they switched into some sort of Dark type or whatever that resists it easily. Say you have to then switch out, then you switch in again, and then you might think, okay, they're going to switch into this Pokemon, I can U-turn and then get the sort of the head up on them. Sort of like that, guys. So that's sort of the predictions you need to be making. Whether or not you put the rest of the EVs in attack or health points is up to you. You can put the rest in attack just for a bit more damage on U-turn. Obviously not on Foul Play, because Foul Play uses the opponent's attack stat. Or the rest in health points, just if you want a bit more bulk in health points, rather than if you're completely stacking off U-turn and thinking, right, that's not going to do any damage at all, I'm just going to do, I'm just going to get out of the battle, basically. But that's, how to use that set. It's a Scarf set, just go in, use a move, and switch out when you need to, pretty much. And that's sort of it for Yveltal this week, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode of the DataDex, first legendary I think I've ever done on this series. So every now and again, every 5 episodes maybe, like we'll do. I know we do evolution, mega evolutions every, is it 5 episodes? Yeah, every 5 episodes do mega evolutions, so maybe like between them we'll do a legendary or something like that, who knows. But for now, guys, that's it for today. As always, remember to vote for next episode, which is going to be either Luxray or Electros. Which electric type do you want to see covered? Let me know down below in the comment section, guys. But for now, I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.